I can't do this anymore. I have to do it. Goodbye. Yep, that's me, and I have to admit, I am extremely ashamed. I have done very bad things, and at the end of this video, you will know what exactly I have done, and you can judge me. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Today, we are going to check out Bellatores, a game that was pretty much under the radar for many, many years and just recently came up with a dev interview followed by a closed beta test on Steam. And I was fortunate enough to actually test the beta myself for a couple of hours because I realized that way too late and I just got in the game for like a few hours, but it's something. So in today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the game, tell you what it's about, and I will also share my first experience with the game so far and what I've done, and confess the horrible things that I have actually done in the game. And as always, I will also tell you about the good things and things that the devs need to improve on. And let me tell you, there is some serious stuff that they need to work on. And as always, my channel is extremely new, so if you want to support what I'm doing, consider leaving a like and also maybe a sub to the channel and also a comment to push the algorithm, because I'd love to invest more time into YouTube and I just love what I'm doing here right now, and you would help me out with that, like extremely. But let's jump right in. What exactly is Bellatores? Before we go into too much detail, I want to note 3 important things. The first one is that this is a very early beta state of the game, so we do not know the release date, not even a time frame. So this might be a very early state of the game and it might change a lot until release. The second thing is that this beta didn't really cover anything beyond crafting PvP and some PvE, so I assume that there is a lot to come, but I just was not able to test anything beyond that. And the third thing is that this beta happened on the Korean servers, so the combat that you see is with very high ping and the English translation that you can see is unofficial. But that being said, Bellatores is a new upcoming MMORPG in a fantasy medieval setting that is mostly based on action combat, crafting, and faction-based PvP. And I can already see any PvP haters be like, I think that the game can be compared to the very early stages of New World, but it also got some essences of Albion Online in it as well. But what I can already tell you is that the game is mostly relevant for people that love faction-based PvP systems. So the game is mostly focused on choosing your starting faction and fighting for the success of that faction. Mostly against other players of other factions, like in open world combat, PvP, castle sieges, and battlefields, but also PvE against mobs and even faction bosses. However, it needs to be noted that the PvP in this game is not optional, so it's forced. You will have to fight other players, and it's a core mechanic of the game. So if you hate PvP, this game is probably not for you, because you might encounter enemy faction players at any time, anywhere. Bellatores also sets a huge focus on the crafting system, so you need to focus on a profession in order to progress efficiently, and all of the in-game gear is crafted gear. So if I'm not wrong, it's like in Albion Online that all of the gear that you will be wearing in the game is just crafted stuff. There shouldn't be any gear drops in the game. And speaking about the gear, the power of your character is defined by your equipment. So you don't have a character level, instead you have the quality of your equipment that defines how strong your character actually is. But you cannot just use high tier equipment that someone drops you. You actually have a mastery system in this game. Yes, you will have to grind a lot. No shortcuts, just grinding. But it's a Korean game, so we accept Visa or MasterCard or something like that. So if you have something, we have a card reader. So just kidding, we know nothing about the monetization system, so let's not be too hasty. Maybe there is no pay to win. It's a Korean game, but maybe there's no pay to win. We will see. But let's go back to the mastery system. Basically, it means that you will get better at anything that you keep doing and with anything that you keep wearing. Which means that if you want to craft a higher tier greatsword, you will have to craft many lower tier greatswords. And if you want to use a higher tier greatsword, you will have to use lower tier greatswords until you got the mastery for it. That ultimately means that you will have to focus on specific professions and specific weapons and gear types that you want to use. I mean, you can use anything at any time, but it will not be efficient. You should probably focus on one thing. Speaking about weapons and combat, the game has a dual weapon class system with 4 active abilities on each weapon, so 8 active abilities at the same time. And they can be changed up, like in Lost Ark, for example, with different effects that change how the skills work. And it's important that you can switch these weapons mid-fight, so just like in New World, for example. So you should probably go with like a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. Beyond that, the combat is an action combat system, which means that there is no auto-targeting, so everything is targeted, and you also have like auto attacks, blocks, dodging, and stuff like that. And you will fight a lot in this game, so it's the most important aspect and also the least fun aspect. But I will talk about that in the bad section, so stay calm. There's also PvE in the game. Basically anywhere you go, there are mobs to kill, and even faction bosses, which I didn't get to experience because they are like timing based. It's a timed event and I just simply missed it. But if you want to focus on PvE, the game got you covered, but you have to live with the fact that PvP is still mandatory. So I thought it would be funny to like show you my first experience with the game. This might already spoil some bad things about the game, but let me show you what happened in the first hour for me. So after playing around with a low-level character to like experience the crafting and the progression and stuff like that, I created a second character. So I created this character and I finished the tutorial, which has unskippable cutscenes. We love it. Until I ultimately chose a faction and spawned in my faction capital city. And since I only had like 2 hours left to play, I decided to take the boost to the highest tier and immediately was insanely confused because I didn't know how to equip anything. Like I just couldn't equip any of my high tier stuff until I realized that I just had to spend my mastery points to level up the mastery for these types of weapons. So it was just a classic me being a dum-dum. So at first I decided to follow the main story quest, which made me realize that I just had to talk to the same 2 persons over and over and over again. And they were standing right next to each other. But until the MSQ finally asked me to leave the city and fight some mobs. And that is where I smelled freedom. And I also smelled war. And I just had to go and find some people to fight with. So I did. So I used some teleportation scroll to go to something called the battlefield, just to find no one. Like I literally found no one. But like after walking around for a while, I finally found someone to fight with. And he had other plans, I guess.
Bye, have a great time.
So for his cowardice, another friend of him who was AFK in the town had to pay the price. Sorry, man. If you see this, like it was nothing personal. I'm very sorry. And quickly after that, I realized that going AFK in a random village is not the best thing to do. Like, and this happened. So I was angry and someone had to pay the price. And I found this guy and we had a pretty long fight and I tried to kill him for literally like 5 minutes straight. And it was kind of hard because you are animation locked a lot, so I couldn't keep up with him, and ultimately he just used his ninja disappearance magic and he just summoned his horse and just got the hell out of here. So again, didn't go so well. So I was alone out there, no friends to make, no enemies to fight. So I thought, why not go to the enemy capital city and just kill anyone there? I mean, they wouldn't just let me enter the main capital city of the other faction, right? Right? Wrong. I actually got in the enemy faction capital city unseen with my special hiding ability called infinite fountain breathing, and no one realized that I was in this fountain until I realized I can just go around the city and attack random low-level players, and the NPCs and the guards just, they don't care. Like not even a single bit. I even found other players from my own faction and we killed people together. Like a unit, we erased the whole town from low-level players. And it was extremely shameful. Honestly, I feel awful. Don't worry, I just did this for like 5 minutes. But we literally took over the enemy capital city. But at what cost? I was so ashamed. I just couldn't live with that anymore. So I tried to end this. I took a jump from the highest point in the town, from the highest roof. I can't do this anymore. I have to do it. Goodbye. And I lost 10% HP, so I left the game instead. Which brings us to the next section, the good and the bad aspects of the game so far. I tested every system that I was able to test in that short amount of time. But keep in mind, this is a very, very early beta state, so we don't have any confirmed release date or even time frame, so they might change a lot in this game. It may not be the same game on release, so this is just a very early review. But as always, I like positivity, so let's start with the good things about the game. And at first I wanted to mention the faction system. Like honestly, I love faction-based games and faction-based PvP games. It offers a sandbox that just very few publishers dare to create nowadays, and I am very much into these systems. I know some of you might not like these systems, and especially the PvP, but I really do. And I even like the open world PvP, but of course there needs to be some regulations. I'm going to talk about that later. In theory, I like the system, and I kind of was sad when New World went away from this idea from its very early, like alpha, very early beta state. The next positive thing is that the graphics and the art style of the game, they are pretty decent. They're good. Like, I think they're onto something, especially like the color grading of the game. I think it fits this fantasy medieval setting very well. It's far from perfect, but I like the look and the feel of the game so far. Specifically the skill animations. I think they look great. Absolutely nothing negative to say about the skill animations. I just simply like them. Which I can't say about the water textures in the game. They have to work on that for sure. And beyond that, I also think that the main story quest line in this game is a pretty good baseline to tell you where to go next, what to do next. Because if you get around these early boring quests, like where you have to talk to the same two persons over and over again, it will start sending you to stronger mobs frequently, and this is the point where you know, okay, I have to progress in the game. I have to craft better stuff. And it also slowly leads you further and further away from the capital city of your faction, so you will start meeting other players to fight against more frequently. And at a certain point, like especially in endgame, you will even like have to fight mobs that are pretty tanky, and you will have to team up with other faction members, which I think is a good thing. I like when the game encourages you to actually team up with other people from your faction to finish content. I think that's always a good thing, and I think that MMOs should be about playing with other people. And beyond that, I think that the menus and the user interface in the game look pretty decent, and they give me a high quality feeling so far. So they're easy to navigate, and the UI in general is just looking pretty high quality, so nothing negative to say there. I think they are doing a good job with their overall UI, and they should just keep doing what they are doing. And that brings us over to the bad section, because oh boy, there's a lot that we need to talk about right here. First, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the most important aspect of the game at all, the combat. Because it just feels straight up bad. Specifically, the animation locks are way too long. The speed of the animations and the speed of the skill and attacks is just way too slow, and it just feels clunky and immobile. And that is combined with a horrible stamina management in the game that makes the whole combat feel even worse. Like you block like 2 times and do 1 dodge roll and you're just out of breath. You can't do anything. And it charges up so slowly that you will have to just straight up wait before you can do anything, not even dodge. And while the skill animations look great, they simply lock you into position. Some of them even like for 6 seconds straight up. Summoning a mount takes like 3 seconds, so people have like every chance to get out of the fight while you are still dancing around in some sort of skill. And that's what people do, like summoning a mount and they are gone. Whenever people were losing, I experienced exactly that. And you can't even move while auto-attacking with melee weapons. It feels horrible. You are straight up animation locked and have to wait until your character is in its original pose again before you can move. It just doesn't feel good. Like, it feels like they just kind of started to make the transition from tap targeting to like normal action combat. It feels like you're playing New World, but you're like constantly rooted, highly overweight, have broken legs, and you are like 90 years old, or simply just a AAA client at McDonald's or something. I don't know. Your character feels so heavy, even with light equipment, and that also goes for the movement. Like, the highest that you can jump with your character is literally like the height of a blade of grass. That's it. And the overall movement is just so heavy. They really have to work on that for sure. Which also makes the PvP feel insanely bad. Like, imagine watching two highly overweight people in a fist fight, and it takes ages until one of them just decides to jump on their electrical scooter and drive off. PvP is an important part of this game, if not the most important part of this game, and it certainly suffers from the problem that the combat system is just not good at all, so they have to work on it. And beyond that, I see that there might be huge issues with the PvP in general if they do not add any safety measures. Because you can just simply attack anyone in towns or villages or even the capital cities. No NPCs will interfere. You can just simply go to the capital city of another faction and start killing low-level players. And I already see high-level players just trying to go to low-level areas and farm the new players so they cannot progress through the game. And I also see that large groups and ganking will be a huge problem in this game as well. Like, guilds will probably dominate with large groups of players and just overrun anyone. But we will see how this turns out. It's just a potential problem. Beyond that, this might be a problem of this beta, but it feels like the game does not offer like many gameplay options besides grinding mobs, grinding materials, and PvPing. So I do hope that the game offers more content, more stuff to do in the final version of the game. And also, please just stop making main story questline chains where I have to talk to the same two persons over and over again. I can't stand this anymore. Another big issue for me is the mastery system. Like, you might have a different opinion, but basically it forces me to choose my profession and my main weapons very early in the game. Actually, like from the very beginning, and I have to stick with them to play the game efficiently. And if I choose to like change it mid-game, I will probably have to grind all over again, and that just sounds extremely annoying, because I personally have the issue that I change my mind mid-game very often, and I think that other weapons look cooler and I want to change. But if the game is that grindy and there's no transfer experience option or something like that, this might be a problem. And lastly, please add a claim all button to the game. This is just not okay. This is absolutely not okay. But let's come to a conclusion for this video already. Overall, I like the base idea of Bellatores. I really like the base idea, especially like the faction-based PvP. However, the fact that we don't know anything about its monetization, and also the fact that most important aspects of the game, like the combat, is in a terrible state at the moment, makes me question if the game will come out in a good state. It kind of catched my interest, but at the same time, I'm not satisfied at the moment. We don't know anything about the release date, but I like the idea of the game, and so I really hope that they are able to make important changes to the combat system and add content, and also like regulate PvP interactions in low-level areas with clever design decisions, like scout NPCs that scout enemy faction players and will send notifications to high-level players in the area, something like that. Or like strong guard NPCs that protect the town and attack enemy faction players right when they see them. There's a lot that could be added to the game. The question is, do they make the right decisions? But now I really wonder, what do you think of the game so far? Please share your opinion in the comment section below. Are you specifically into PvP and faction-based PvP? And do you have hope for the game, or eventually are you going to skip the game simply because you are not into PvP or it doesn't look good? As always, I would love to have a fair and constructive discussion in the comment section below. I try to answer to all the comments. Make sure to share your opinion. And you could also say hi on my Discord server. We discuss games, find people to play with, we share game news and trailers, we share food, we share pets, and a lot of stuff, so we'd love to have you on the Discord server. You can find the link in the description. And if you want to know how the MMO mode of Where Winds Meet was actually like, I made a video on that. You can find it here. It's a pretty cool video and I put a lot of work into it. So if you think Where Winds Meet looks like an interesting game and you want to find out about its MMO mode, you should check it out. And if you don't do that, thanks for watching and I see you in the next video. Have a good one.